good morning, everyone. It is with a great pleasure that I extend a warm and hearty welcome to each and every one of you on behalf of Crack the Wellness Code CWC team for today's engaging session. As you see the agenda in front of you, it's going to be a very intense discussion which will lead to the orientation of series of workshop on habit change. At Crack the Wellness Code and Global Wellbeing Network, we believe that habit change is a key to unlocking healthier, happier life. By cultivating positive habits, we can enhance your physical and mental well being. I would like to introduce another speaker, Manikantan, who brings an incredible wealth of experience and expertise to our workshop. He is a seasoned coach with over 25 years of experience in technology and services dedicated to help individuals and organizations achieve maximum effectiveness. Today, Manikantan will share valuable insights on the science behind habit formation and practical strategies for integrating positive habits into our daily life. It's a great pleasure having you here, Manikantan. Over to you, Manikantan.
Thank you, Banu, for this wonderful and gracious introduction. Thank you. I deeply appreciate it. Hello, all. It is very nice to be with you today on this beautiful evening. Dinesh sends his best wishes. I am part of Global Wellbeing Network along with Dinesh. Dinesh, incidentally, is practicing his habit of hiking. Guess where? In nothing short of Everest Base Camp. That's where he is. In fact, he was supposed to be back in Kathmandu, Nepal, where he was supposed to join. But due to weather, he is unable to join. But that's okay. He'll be there for the rest of the seminar. So let me get started with a quick overview of how this program came about. I wanted to kind of brief you on how this program that we called durable habit adoption that came about when we started this, and why we are having this program, and what is the framework underneath. There is various elements that are exciting about this program that I wanted to talk to you about. I think Banu beautifully articulated the challenge of habits. How many of you feel here that habit change is easy? And how many of you think it's very hard? All of us have made New Year resolutions, which is sort of creating a habit. But it so happens that when we set a habit, we follow it for a couple of weeks, couple of days, whatever our rhythm is, and then they start falling apart come February, right? And we all have had that experience. This is what the data bears out. The success of adopting a particular habit or a resolution, it varies all the way from 8% to 92%. And this is very, challenging for a lot of people and frustrating for some. The reason for that is there are many, many factors that are associated with it in terms of what contributes to forming a particular habit. Some of them you might already know, for example, goal setting. The second one is having a strong support network. For example, if I want to create a habit of not eating sugary food, and in my family, people start cooking sugary food, then obviously there goes my habit adoption. The third one is tracking progress, and of course, staying motivated and being adaptable when we get into Diwali season, where a lot of sweets are around. I'm just giving you that as an example. Um, you see that there are many factors that contribute to forming a habit. So, what we call as success, which is having that habit adopted and become a second nature for us, it varies from person to person, and it depends on the adoption factors and the approach that you've taken. And this is where this particular program comes in handy, where we look at various pieces of the puzzle where what does it take to move into next habit. I'm just having slides. Okay. So I'm just going to give you this may be a eye chart, but I don't want you to stress over it. There are you might have heard of what causes and what correlates with certain things. This is how we started with that habit program. This is where the beautiful genesis is. One of our GWN founders called Doug, he worked with Dinesh to look at various factors that influence habit. As a doctoral person, he normally looks at correlation and causation, and there is various uh, causes that help in habit adoption, and some of them are correlation, which are assisting in that process, and they don't necessarily cause that habit formation to happen. For example, if you are motivated with a high level of intrinsic inner drive, and you have a personal interest or enjoyment. For how many of you, if you wanted to play a musical instrument or any of that music related stuff, arts, painting, you are able to do it when you're young, and later on it becomes slightly different. It's a function of motivation when you are motivated for that particular activity. Tracking progress is another cause that directly tells you a particular habit whether it's happening or not. Let me give you one small habit that I have. This is I don't know that you can see my screen, but it's blurred out. But I have a walking habit. Every day I want to walk 10,000 steps, and I have an app that tracks my progress. And as it turns green, I'm happy that wow, there is a feedback for me to ensure that I'm walking for that particular day, that 10,000 steps. If it is orange, it's 5,000 to 10,000, and if it is red, it's below 5,000. That's kind of how it shows me, and I use that as a way to motivate myself. Of course, there is environmental factors, like if all of us are busy people, especially in Silicon Valley, we have a lot of activities that we need to take care of every day. So there is time constraints, there is resource constraint, as well as there is competing demands. And this is an important element, because when we want to do one habit, there are other challenges that comes in our way. Therefore, that also becomes demand for our time, our resources, and various other things. We also need to remove barriers. For example, if you don't want to eat sweet, having a sweeties, chocolate or anything else nearby, very accessible, that gives you a wrong cue, so that you kind of start snacking on the chocolates or sweets, when what you want to do is remove that habit of eating sweets, right? So these are the causation to some, give you a sense of it. The correlation aspect is having a clear goal. If you're able to articulate, hey, this is my goal. For example, I told you about 10,000 steps every day, and that number is not 9999 or 10,001. It's clearly the system monitors that, and that is kind of how you can set clear objectives for us to track through that. And there is also a lot of behavioral change techniques which are available in terms of books and YouTube videos and various other things. You can definitely follow them, but it requires you to monitor yourself and then create a reward system for employing that strategy. And we also have to make sure that it is evidence based, right? If it is not evidence based, sometimes you follow certain things and it doesn't pay out, and you end up, kicking yourself when the technique itself was off base. And that's why we need to make sure that we have to find the right technique and right strategy, so that it can enhance your motivation and facilitate the ease of adoption. At the end of the day, if something is easy, why make it hard, right? And also, we need to be adaptable in this day and age when things change, right? For example, one of the friends of ours who might be joining later today, she is in Atlanta and Florida area. Obviously, last couple of weeks have been very tough on them due to hurricane. So you need to be adaptable in terms of in the face of setbacks or challenges that comes to your way. How do you change that, and how do you reframe it so that you don't lose that habit? And in all this stuff, there is a big thing, that is support network, that are friends, family, other people that who are forming that same habit. If you band together, it's much easier to create that habit, and as it provides encouragement and accountability for making that habit easy to adopt, and therefore it can help you in the process. So if it gives you a sense of it, that's what I wanted to give you. Let me quickly get into our intent of why we are running this program. Our intent is to create more happier and healthier people at GWN. That is Global Wellbeing Network's promise, right? So we are trying to set a high standard of how do we get at least 80% of the people adopt this habit. What we found is in the past, we have run this program in both India, in Kanpur Parivartan, and as well as in MD, where I am, Maryland, Virginia area. And what we found is that as long as you attend the next 12 sessions, you are able to reasonably form that habit as long as you are motivated. And other causes also apply, but we'll talk about that, how we can help through that. So, biggest question that will come up is why 12 weeks? Why does it require that long? Actually, it doesn't require 12 weeks to be clearly transparent to you. It requires 3 to 4 weeks. You can get an habit adoption. But what happens is that we fall back, we don't set the habits right. So initially, when we are start working on it, we found that it requires a little bit more support. And what we also do it, we try to combine habits into small pieces. We break it down into smaller pieces, and then we chain them together in a way that you can create a garland of habit that can make a sustained impact in your life. Therefore, what we don't want to do is rush it through and then create a system that doesn't work for you. Habits is change, in our experience, requires time, and it requires the patience to work with yourself, because at the end of the day, we're all busy people, and therefore it makes sense to create that habit in a way that is sustainable for you, right? So does it make sense? I'll walk you through how to make it simple. We create a system called design learning framework. How many of you have heard of design learning? This is a standard framework that is available for learning new things. And this program is based off of that. And I'm using a simple mnemonic called Simply as a way for creating success, which is broadly, we are doing 7 things in there, which is setting goals with clarity and using intent, not willpower, not as pushing yourself through by hook or by crook to get into that behavior, right? In Sanskrit, they call it as sankalpa. We try to use that sankalpa model to create that behavior change. And we meet regularly on a weekly basis, week over week. We'll work through that in this call today to create accountability and support. We also want to make sure that there is positive reinforcement to the habit that you have taken on by creating your own mechanism of tracking and supporting that. And the last 3 pieces, in terms of how you learn, we want to make sure that the learning is driven by awareness. It is not like high school education or whatever. You're not going at that level, but it is as adults learning. There is an adult learning technique that we follow here to make sure that what we learn is easy to adopt and it is flexible and stays with you. And it encourages each person to improve themselves over a course of time without worrying about why it works for me or what doesn't work for me. The program has got major features. I'm going to quickly walk you through some of them. It's a structured curriculum design. We have a website and a whole bunch of other information, but we'll extract out what is required for us to digest this information. Dinesh and we have done this program with many people, so we're at this point of time, we ourselves we follow this for our own habit change, and there is a personalized support. You can reach out to me and Dinesh and as required to get support or address any issues that you might have. It is an interactive learning where there is a lot of question answer session that we set up over a period of time. There is accountability that you can track for yourself, and we'll make sure that you are accountable for your own goals. We don't set goals for you. You set your own goals so that you can track that and ensure that you are accountable for it. If there are challenges, we'll discuss that. There are practical tools and resources that we'll share with you. And of course, as I said, the community and peer support. There are people who are going to be traveling this journey with you, just like going in a train. That support is what brings about a lot of change. And the last piece is that there is a measurable results that you can track for yourself. I just want to pause here because this is all fine. People will be wondering, this is about the workshop and how the series and what is the overview of the program, because it gives you the highlight of what is being covered, how it is, what are the features of it, but is it right for me? And that is the question we want you to address in this call, right? Because I don't want you to register for a program that you feel it's not right for you. The last thing, that's not what we want. What we want to make sure that you have any questions here, please feel free to ask at the Q&A session. But let me try to address to you what are the major questions that people typically have, and why we tell them the way in which we tell them, because I've run this program at least 3 4 times, and I believe this is a program with significant results. When we come to the testimonial session, you will see that people get the desired results. And therefore, if I ask you, do you have a clear goal that you want to go after, then this program is right for you. If it is not clear, you have a rough area that you want to know, that's fine too, because the first couple of sessions we'll work through with you to make sure that the goal is clarified, where it becomes what I call a smart goal, which is simple, measurable, achievable, and timely and time bound and things like that. And if you want support, lot of, for example, at this point of time, some people might say, hey, I don't have challenge in keeping myself accountable, in which case you don't need to worry about it. But what I found is that when you falter, when things something changes within you, that's when the support and accountability comes into play very significantly. When you feel bored, when you feel something changes in your environment, we talked about the hurricane as an extreme example, but even weather change, we are now in fall season. When things change, things become slightly cold in Virginia, like where I am. That suddenly you'll say, oh, do I really need to walk? Can I postpone it tomorrow? These kind of thoughts will come in. So how do you keep yourself accountable and support yourself to get into the habit? That is where this peer system helps. If you need expertise and guidance, this is where Dinesh and I come in, and we have both uh, books to refer you to, or articles to share, keep you motivated, keep you inspired, which will as a part of our guidance. But beyond that, just simple clarification of what, hey, this is what I'm doing. What am I doing wrong? Why am I going off base? This kind of expertise and guidance, we'll definitely give it to you. And we like to do that in an efficient and in a way that saves you time, right? None of us have a lot of time to do a lot of things, so we want to make sure that we fit in our habits into our existing lifestyle of busy traveling network. Like some of the examples is people travel a lot, even during this uh, 12 weeks. So there are ways in which we can support that as well. Definitely, we want to make sure that this approach is personalized for you, and it is done in a way that is customized to some extent to your particular situation. And how we support that, we can stay back and we can ask us questions, or send us messages. In the group, we will discuss some of that, and willing to invest yourself for improving that, for self improvement. This is a last one is a key piece, right? Because it is apart from money, there is a significant amount of your time that you're going to invest in this program, right? That is why we want to make sure that this program works for you in a way that is appropriate, right? And the way in which we explore that is through different ways of habit tracking. I see one other question that's coming up. How will we track if you're following the habit change practices? I'll just take a quick question and address it. This is where I gave you this one example of my own walking, right? Let me try to see if I can unblur background. So are you able to see my screen right here? So this shows you my tracking habit of how I'm walking. And see, there is one place where I've not walked 10,000 steps. So this is kind of how you can keep track of yourself in terms of how that works out for you. There are various techniques that you can adopt in this process. There is apps, there is different models that are available. And whatever works for you is how we'll try to support you through this process. So this is an important piece that I want you to consider and think through. apart from the fact that we all want results and we all want to do it in an easy way, right? But there is certain amount of rigor and support and motivation and other pieces that needs to come together. As I said in the first slide earlier, it's not, you cannot just wing it, right? This is where the success of habit adoption goes all the way from 8 to 92% for anybody who has set a resolution. I just want you to look at 2024. In 2024, have you set any resolution? If so, how did you do on that resolution, right? And that is where I want you to start digging in to see what would make it more palatable for you to um, create that habit. The next one is that if that habit is created, what is the biggest benefit you will get? Because the, for example, like a lot of times when people create habit, for example, I do something called Ekadasi fasting. And every 15 days, I fast one day. And what happened was when I was fasting, I used to get angry when I'm fasting, right? And I used to yell at people in my house for simple things. These kind of things is not helpful at the end of the day. My wife used to say, "Why are you fasting?" and start shouting at us, and that is not a, you know, side effect, side impact that you want to, side benefit that you want to create out of this that bad habit. So you don't want to create one habit and create another bad habit. Those are all the things that you need to be aware of, right? And when you create that habit of fasting for one day, as in my case, it adds to my health benefit. And that is the reason why I'm doing that. So to create a health benefit, which will benefit my family and other people, that is kind of the reason why you would do that. So think through why you want to create any particular habit. And that is an important piece that we want to leverage as a motivation to go forward. We will look at this in much more detail in the class when we go into in the 12 weeks, and that is where we'll start off. But at the most important place, I want to tell you a beautiful starting place that we will start off with, which is, I am so glad you have taken the first step in self improvement, which is very, very difficult in some places, having seen that. The first step is showing up for this webinar, right? I know all of us have important things to do in our life, and taking 1 hour out of that time to attend a webinar like this, and there are many people who are in this call who have other important things to do with this time. But you have shown up for this. That is an important first step that you have taken, right? And this is not easy. And you showing up here is the biggest gift that you have given to yourself. I know that there are there are other questions. I'll come to that in a bit. Um, but what I want you to take, take your hand to yourself and put it in your back, like what I'm showing right now, and then pat yourself in the back because this is the first step you have taken. I am so grateful that you have taken this step because once you have taken this step, then your commitment to your own habit change makes it slightly more easier, right? Whether you join this program or not, I would love for you to, all of you in this program, to join. That is powerful. But the more important thing for you to do is show up for yourself for your own success. And that is my biggest request for you. Because once you show up for yourself, then it is much, much easier to adapt rest of the pieces. Yes, the numbers are what it is. We need to make it better. And that is where this programs like this help. But don't think of it as a hitting the gym kind of hard activity. There is pieces that similar to that, but we'll make sure that we'll support you just like in a group program that you do, and that is the purpose of our objective here. So with that, I know I've spoken quite a bit. I'm sure there is more questions out there. But before we take the question, I know that there's one more question I saw. Banu, do you want to see if people have any? You want to look at the testimonials, or how do you want to do that, Banu, right now, or Pallavi?
Sure, sure. Thank you. Thank you, Manikantan. It's important to recognize that it can be easy and hard depending on various factors, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
And all I want to say, guys, dream big. If you can dream big, universe has given you the capacity to execute that dream. All you have to do is to dream big and then pay attention. Pay attention to who's showing up in your life, what is happening in your life. By paying attention, then you can decide which habit do you want to change. And if you can change those habits, then you can do anything. So you can do anything if you want to do, but you have to pay attention and then you have to cultivate those habits. So I would urge each one of you that dream big and then pay attention and see which habits you need to cultivate to be able to achieve your dream. If you can dream, you have the capacity to execute that dream. And then after that, having done all that, then what you need to do, what I feel, you have to surrender to Mother Earth. Because once you surrender to Mother Earth, it's only the grace that gets you to your goal. Because you cannot get there, no matter how much you can plan, no matter how strong your ego is, you have to surrender that ego. You have to get to that grace. You have to live your life in gratitude. And with that gratitude, gives you that energy where Mother Earth supports you and you can fulfill your dream. So I hope each one of you who are listening out there, that each one of you have a dream big. Because when you start fulfilling your dream, that's where you start living. So this is where I remember an old song from Shailendra. आज फिर जीने की तमन्ना है, आज फिर मरने का इरादा है. The day you start living your life, that day you become fearless. And that's where you begin to live your life.
Thank you for joining. Can you share your experience about this habit adoption program when you went through that? How was it for you?
Yeah, sure. I am really grateful that we did it at the end of last year. And it was really a good timing to close the year out looking at what I wanted to accomplish in the new year and also finding new reminders and new insight on how to create a habit. And I think what I really got out of it is one, I do have habits and I should stop beating myself up and really trust that I know what I'm doing. And more that I've done that, I can see what I've accomplished this year. But I think what I really appreciated most was the conversation. I really did like having conversations because I think the conversations really do sharing this information with other people really helps you stay motivated and inspires you to keep on track or keep working on being on track because was no like shame or it was a very safe environment, which I think is really important because there's a lot of stress and there's a lot of stuff outside that affects us, and so sometimes we can't continue on the same habit form that we want to because some things life happens, right? But having that community of people to sort of just keep you in check and they're not it's powerful. So I really do I apologize for being late. I have my computer, but I really do I'm grateful for the people that I met, and I have to say I kind of miss y'all. I feel bad that we have to stay more in touch.
Thank you so much, Joanne. I appreciate you showing up for this call. One last question for you. I know that you mentioned that you did last year, and these folks are looking at doing it at the same time this year, so that 2025 comes around, they are in a better shape to take care of that. What is one thing that you will tell them regarding New Year resolution versus this habit change program?
I would say go in with an open mind and an open heart and me think. That's like let me think. Well, okay, I'm gonna say this. I think we just go. I don't know when you're starting, but I know that the end of the year can feel sort of stressful with various different things, and I think it's really important to give yourself that time to meet up and make a commitment. Like, choosing a habit during your busy time of year, if it is a busy time of year, because it gives you a moment to be mindful and be mindful. And I think that's what has happened this year. I have a little more intention and a little more mindfulness about what I am doing and why I'm doing something. And not to say that life is all happy and fabulous, but I'm definitely just in a place of um, I can see where I'm not doing something, and I think that being intentional and mindful is how you should start every day. But why not start the new year that way? Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Joanne. I appreciate it. I
Thank
Yeah,
you.
no,
really
I highly recommend it. It's very enjoyable.
thanks, Joanne.
This is Piyush Dikshit. This is a short message to express my gratitude for Dinesh and Mani who ran the Parivartan program for us. It was lovely. It's about 12 weeks and a very measured half an hour per week. Very inspiring. Small but major changes happened bit by bit by bit. It wasn't that I picked up those habits in one session. It took me a while, but the journey was made very, very different by how Dinesh and Mani met me every week and continue to encourage even a small movement towards the goal. So now I'm able to sleep at the time I want to sleep, 10:30. I'm able to get up at the time I want to get up, 4:30. It's become very natural to me, and I would recommend anybody looking for these simple changes to your lives for your health or for your own reasons to really work with this simple program. It's extremely powerful. Believe me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sampo. I had the pleasure of being part of the Habit Transformer group some time ago. We all have habits that are, in a way, holding us back, and therefore it's vital that we process them. For me, working on the group was very powerful. I found it very effective that we first located and defined the habit that we wanted to work on properly, and then processed it in gentle guidance of the professionals. I also found the method energetically powerful, which is absolutely fantastic for me. I like working with energies. So I can highly recommend the process to all of us. It's worth it. Thank you so much. Looking forward to working with you again.
The first one is, how will you track if we are following the habit change practices?
So, as I mentioned earlier, you can find an app. Typically, a lot of people like to track it through an online app. And nowadays, there is app for everything under the sun. So any habit that you want depends. So we don't particularly say, well, this is the type of habit we are going to support you, and this type of habit we don't support you. There is nothing like that. So as long as you have a habit that is very clearly defined, if you have an app that you want to track it, we'll support you through that process. If you don't know, if you can't find an app or anything like that, let us know. I'll be able to find and help you with that. Of course, we don't develop any apps for you, and that much of time we don't have. But in general, what I found is any reasonable habit that you have, which is unique, there is an app out there. But for the exceptional cases, for example, in my case, I wanted to initially start off with walking 10,000 steps every day. Then I modified it to saying that 70,000 steps in 7 days, not necessarily 10,000 steps every day, because when I was traveling and when I was busy. So there are ways I kind of adapt the existing app to suit my situation, which requires slightly some adjustment, but it's not too big a deal for me to get it done. Kushi, is there anything else, Banu, I need to answer?
Yes, Manikantan, there are a few more questions showing up here.
Okay.
I'm 68 years old. Can I be a part of this workshop, and how feasible it is going to be for me? I believe this has been answered by you. previously?
Yes, I think Dinesh
Yes.
answered this. He's,
Yes.
by the way, Dinesh is 78 and he's in Everest Base Camp. There is nothing more to be said beyond that.
Yes.
So
Yes. Totally.
68
Yeah.
is young nowadays. So please join. Definitely, I'm sure you'll get benefit out of it.
Yes, and one more question which we have is, hi, I'm 62 years old. I have downloaded the app Kushi, very easy to use and very useful. Thank you for that. I see the workshop listed in the marketplace. My question is how we will get session links and recordings. So after you register and follow the steps, then you will get an email with the session links. And if you are unable to join, we will send the recordings. Yes. And
Yeah,
yeah, we can also provide the step-by-step instructions to your email so that will be easy for the participants.
yeah. On
And
that point, I
yes,
will I would want to add one more thing. So while we are all of us are traveling and things like that, there is recordings available, but generally we would love for you to come to the session. Use recording only as a backup or a second time viewing preference. Of course, if you're traveling, if you can't attend, if you're unwell, whatever it is, there is always recording available. Go ahead, Banu.
sure. So the other question which we have is, what if I won't be able to attend a workshop session? Will I get its recording? Yes, absolutely. We will provide the recordings. Other
Um,
question?
One thing is, as I will emphasize, more people if attend in person, they find their habit adoption is much more sticky. So please remember that.
So the other question which we have is, will there be any group activities?
Right. So there won't be group activities as in we will have a breakout room and things like that in the session itself. But as somebody said, Joanne specifically called out, it'll be a safe space. It'll respect your personal wishes and the way in which you are approaching this habit. There is no we ensure as all of us are, me, Dinesh, both of us are coaches. We understand human dynamics, so we understand the sensitivity around people and their habits. So there will be appropriate group activities. That's kind of how I would put it. So it will be done in ones and twos just to make sure that you are comfortable. But given that generally we feel that it's a small group, so we all become quickly, fast friends, and then we'll work through this habit in a way that we'll share it in a transparent way. So there won't be too many outside activities that are group, but we do create, things like WhatsApp or other things if required, so that people can support each other. If they are close by living near each other, they can walk together and things like that on their own.
Thank you. Thank you, Manikantan. There is one more which I see here. I don't think it has any negative impact on life. Are there any? And any prerequisite that we should be aware of?
Prerequisite is very straightforward. Are you committed to your own growth? And that is a question I would ask again and again, because fundamentally, a lot of times when you set a goal for yourself, if let's say I set a goal and Banu gets in my way, I can say, hey, Banu, get out of my way so that I can achieve my goal, right? But the reverse is, if Banu sets a goal and I get in her way, I can ask myself to be removed from her path. But generally, what happens is I set a goal and I get in my own way. And that is the biggest thing that you need to watch out for. So, as Joanne said, come with an open mind and see how it works. And there is no other prerequisites other than your own commitment. And of course, there is, time commitment also required. Of course, there is a program cost element that I think you can talk to Banu.
So the users can go to the Kushi app and then go to the CWC marketplace, and they will be able to see the adaptive durable health changes, and then they can look at the details and then can go from there.
While you're bringing up the poll, I'll say that there is no negative impact on life. But sometimes what happens is when you are making a change, positive change, people in the family, they get suddenly worried. What, you're making this change? Does it mean that I also have to make the change? That kind of questions come up. Other than that, there is no negative impact.
I invite you to join us for our workshop series. You can register through CWC Marketplace, where you will find all the details to get started. And for more details about CWC, please download the Kushi app and elevate your wellness journey with Explorer membership.